On a quiet Saturday morning, the lake was perfectly still, reflecting the sky like a silver-blue mirror. I had been looking forward to this weekend for weeks. A chance to unwind in my cabin that sat tucked against the trees with a clear view of the water. It wasn't a big place, 2 bedrooms, a porch, and a dock that stretched into the lake, but it was private, peaceful, and mine. I rarely invited people there, preferring to keep it as a sanctuary. But this weekend was different. I had arranged to meet with someone very important, the state attorney general. It wasn't public knowledge, and I had no intention of making it public. We needed privacy for a discussion that could ripple into something far larger than either of us anticipated. The air smelled of pine and fresh rain as I brewed coffee in the small kitchen, my nerves humming with anticipation. The Attorney General was scheduled to arrive at 10. By 9:30, I had everything ready to chairs set on the porch overlooking the lake, a stack of documents neatly placed on the side table, and a carafe of coffee steaming. I kept glancing at my watch, rehearsing the points I wanted to cover, reminding myself to stay calm and precise. This meeting could shift the balance of an investigation that had been quietly brewing in the background of state politics. One that involved land rights, environmental violations, and more than a few powerful people who would prefer the truth remain buried. Then, at 9:45, everything went sideways. A loud slam rattled the front door so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Before I could react, it burst open and a woman stomped inside as if she owned the place. She wore oversized sunglasses, clutched a designer handbag, and had the unmistakable air of entitlement that I come to associate with one particular type of person, the kind the internet had affectionately nicknamed a Karen. Her voice boomed without hesitation, sharp and indignant. "Excuse me, this cabin is not up to standard. I've been waiting for service for 20 minutes. Where is the staff?" I froze, caught between confusion and disbelief. "Ma'am, this is my private property. You can't just barge in here." She lowered her sunglasses and glared at me as if I'd just insulted her existence. "Don't play dumb. One rented this cabin online. I paid good money, and I expect better treatment than this. First of all, the dock is crooked, the furniture looks outdated, and there's no one at the front desk. Absolutely unacceptable." For a moment, I was too stunned to respond. Then, irritation rose, hot in my chest. There is no front desk. This isn't a resort. This is my personal cabin, and you are trespassing. Her lips pursed into a tight line. "Oh, please. You think you can just tell me I'm trespassing? I have the receipt right here." She fumbled with her phone, swiping furiously until she shoved the screen toward me. Sure enough, it displayed a reservation confirmation, but not for my cabin. The address was completely different. I tried to explain this calmly, but she cut me off with a sharp laugh. Of course you'd say that. You don't want to admit your mistakes. Well, let me tell you, I know my rights. I could sue for this kind of treatment. I rubbed my temples, already imagining how this disaster would look if the Attorney General arrived to find me arguing with a trespasser. I moved toward the door, gesturing firmly. You need to leave now. I don't know what scam website you booked from, but this isn't it. Before I could usher her out, the sound of tires crunching over gravel drew my attention. A sleek black car pulled up, and out stepped the Attorney General himself, dressed in a tailored suit that seemed almost too formal for the woods. His presence carried a weight that shifted the air, commanding respect without effort. I hurried toward the porch to greet him, but Karen was faster. She stormed past me, arms folded, and marched straight up to him. Finally, she cried, I assume you're the manager. I have some serious complaints about this establishment, and I expect immediate compensation. The Attorney General blinked in surprise, then looked at me with raised eyebrows. I felt heat creep up my neck as I tried to explain. Sir, I'm so sorry. This woman forced her way in. Karen interrupted again, pointing a manicured finger at me. Don't listen to him. He's clearly incompetent. I demand to speak to someone in charge, preferably corporate. Or better yet, I want the Attorney General involved in this. The irony of her words struck me so hard, I almost laughed, though the tension in the moment left me with no room to find it funny. The Attorney General's expression hardened, his voice cool and deliberate as he addressed her. You are speaking to the Attorney General. The effect was instantaneous. Her jaw dropped, her face flushing red, then pale. She stammered for a moment, clearly scrambling to process the gravity of her mistake. I mean, yes, well, that's what I wanted. I wanted the Attorney General. Because consumer rights. Yes, consumer rights are very important to me. I nearly groaned aloud. The Attorney General, however, remained composed. He glanced between us, then spoke with the kind of measured patience that comes from years of navigating high-stakes confrontations. Ma'am, I suggest you explain exactly why you are here. Karen waved her phone again, insisting that she had rented the cabin, that she was a victim of fraud. He took the device, studied the details, and calmly handed it back. This is not the address listed here. You've entered private property without permission. That is trespassing. Her bluster faltered. Well, I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? That is irrelevant. Ignorance does not excuse breaking the law. I recommend you leave immediately before we escalate this further. For a few tense moments, she stood, frozen, her indignation collapsing under the weight of authority she couldn't shout down. Finally, with a dramatic huff, she muttered something about writing a review and stalked back to her car. Gravel spat from her tires as she sped away, leaving behind only silence and the faint scent of expensive perfume. I exhaled heavily, the tension finally breaking. I swear, I didn't plan for that. She came out of nowhere. The Attorney General chuckled softly, his serious demeanor giving way to a rare smile. Life has a way of throwing distractions at the worst times. Let's hope she doesn't return. We settled onto the porch, and for a while the absurdity of the intrusion faded as we turned to the matter at hand. The documents I'd prepared outlined a network of land deals tied to illegal dumping and bribes. The Attorney General listened intently, asking sharp questions, his pen gliding across a notepad as the lake shimmered in the background. It was surreal to sit there, only minutes removed from that ridiculous confrontation, discussing issues that could topple powerful figures and change the course of the state's environmental policies. Yet even as the conversation deepened, part of my mind remained stuck on the image of Karen barging through the door, demanding service that didn't exist. It was absurd, yes, but also oddly fitting. Her intrusion was a reminder of the chaos that always lurked on the edges of serious work. The way life could shove its way into even the most carefully planned moments. Hours passed, and when the meeting finally drew to a close, the Attorney General stood, offering his hand. "You've done the right thing bringing this forward. We'll take it from here." I shook his hand, grateful, yet still rattled. As his car disappeared down the road, I returned to the cabin, locking the door firmly behind me this time. The lake was still, the air calm once more. Not just because of the documents exchanged or the promises made, but because of the bizarre interruption that had nearly derailed it all. In the end, when people would ask about that weekend, I knew I'd have to bite back a laugh and answer carefully. I could talk about the gravity of meeting the state attorney general, about the serious matters we discussed, about the hope of change. But part of me would always remember it first and foremost as the day a woman stormed into my lake cabin, demanding customer service, only to discover she was yelling at the very man who held the highest legal office in the state.